Hello again, welcome to another Toku Rambling. So, we're going back to sorta finish, like follow up an old review. So, long way back at the beginning when I started to do this, I talked about the 2004 Ultraman reboot film, which was part of the greater Next project, which included today's topic and tragically a series that could have been one of the greatest of all time, Ultraman Nexus. So, yeah, if you can tell, I think this is a really, really good season. That, if you know why I say that. But, so, this was clearly trying to be Tsuburaya's answer to Ryuki, this dark, deconstructive take on the Ultra series. He's at a time when darker tokus were sort of starting to take off. So, the series' main focus is this man by the name of Kazuki Komon, a former fire rescue mountain rescue member whose past trauma makes it a little difficult for him to continue being that, but he ends up getting picked up by the Terrestrial Liberation Trust, or TLT, for their secret attack squad, the Night Raiders, to attack a group of mysterious space beasts that have been going around feeding on humanity. Though he almost ends up not becoming a Night Raider, since he is nearly killed by one of those said monsters, but is saved by a giant who defeats said monster. That is Nexus, specifically Jun Himea. I probably should have re-listened to it. A photojournalist who is seeking penance for his past by fighting as Nexus. Yes. As their two fates become entwined in the battle against the space beast and those who order them around. So, this season excuses the more episodic nature of Ultraman in favor of a more serialized story. I.e., the episodes will sometimes go into the next one, and while there will be an end to an arc, it still carries over for consequences to go forward. With Space Beats being more arc villains lasting more than one episode. And it does give Nexus its own unique flavor, its own feeling, different from a lot of other Ultra series going on at the time. It also has some really great twists and a more realistic tone that makes integral for each episode worth it. So, it is worth noting that tentatively Jun Himea is only Nexus for the first arc. There is a switch up in the midpoint, and probably where they had to sort of retool the show to be slightly lighter for reasons we'll get to, but he is replaced by Ren Saiju? Sure, just need to make sure my notes are right. Yes. A much more happy-go-lucky hero, more equivalent of like your standard common writer. Heroes who takes up the second half of the show. Or third, I kind of feel. But yeah, before we get to them, let's talk about the actual main character of the show. Come on. He's very much, I feel, kind of similar to Shinji in his role, in that he's clearly meant to be like your typical protagonist in a show that is not the one you are watching, because they chew him up and spit him right back out into the real world. Now, whereas Shinji was a overall series, like chewing and breaking the cutie thing, it does it in the first arc. Like obviously the reality of they're not going to be working with Nexus, even though he saved him. He's been dating a corpse. That really does a number on him. Nearly kills a child and nearly quits. Like, they really went hard in that first arc of building character. They're like, they did the whole Shinji tries to be akin to the other writers, like, within the first arc, but he realizes that is not what he wants to be. And that's sort of one of the things of the first arc. It's him going from the naive, kind-hearted self to someone who doesn't let go of nature in spite of how dark and horrible the world around him is, but choosing to be that because that's the kind of person he is. In the second arc, he's definitely a lot more experienced and understanding, and sort of takes on a sort of mentor and trying to help the new Nexus. But he's still very much trying to be a good, overall, decent guy. And if this series had, like, you know, that last arc that, again, I will bring up, I feel like it would have made for, like, a perfect cap to a character where he becomes Nexus at the end and deals with the final boss. This is very much his show, even if he isn't the main user and only gets to do it in the final episode. Alongside in the Night Raiders, there's Nagi, who is very much cold and focused on just killing aliens. Like, she more or less really hates aliens and wants to kill every single one of them, which includes Nexus. It makes for a good foil to Komon. On having someone who is very much enjoying what she does. She still tries to be a mentor and helps him through whenever he's having tough moments, and we are shown that her wrath can cause her to kind of ditch the team to focus on her own thing. Again, it's like with she sort of learns to rein in her wrath and desire to kill every alien and being abusive, like pistol whipping on the point where he thinks she would shoot him in his mind. But yeah, okay, we need to talk about this. So this season was not doing well, not because of anything Super Riot did. They did a fantastic job, but TV Nihon. So this show was using the usual nighttime time slot that had been used since Tiga. Which would make sense for a show that was clearly aiming for a more teenage, young adult audience. Only problem was the next season of the most recent and really popular season of Gundam, Seed Destiny, was coming out, and Nihon wanted to give it a primetime slot. You can kind of see where this is going. So, Nexus gets bumped from its nighttime slot for a morning slot in a kids block, which, you know, if this was any other Ultra series, maybe that would work, but not for Nexus. The adult crowd likely wasn't going to wake up early, or at this point there was no TiVo or recording, and the kids would be terrified that the Ultras are a lot darker and scarier. So initially it was retooled to be slightly more kid-friendly. That didn't work, and the show basically had its entire last third axed out except for one episode to quickly wrap everything up so they could move on to the next season. A season that would not be airing in that kid slot because they would cancel it, but leave Ultraman Max in it. You know, people like to bring up how Super Riot was one of the first people to really get into the YouTube and streaming sensibilities. I really think it's because of this. Like, having to deal with all of this studio-mandated BS that they were just like, you know, this is so much easier and much better. Because she was meant to be, like, the third Nexus after Ren. Right. There was an entire third arc where she would have been the next Dunamis, which is what they call, I kind of forgot to bring. It would have capped her arc as she let go of her anger, and would have also given some additional revelations, like who saved Komon as a kid. It's like a treasure trove of what a different timeline would have looked like if this series, you know, actually was able to finish rather than just be left half finished. And yeah, I kind of wouldn't mind reading a novel that was like, hey, this is what was intended to be like the last arc of Nexus. But really, that is the, well, we haven't talked about Dunamis, but the main two Dunamis plus Nagi and Komon sort of make up the main trio of the show. The rest of the Night Raiders feel more side characters. Not as much for Captain Wakura early on, since he was there alongside Nagi and the first sort of arc's big bad. But he kind of gets put to the side as the stern but reasonable captain who is willing to bend the rules if it's for the better. I really liked how Ren got captured to be experimented on. He was like, yeah, no, the Night Raiders are going to go help this man. The other two... So, Shiori definitely gets the lesser hand of the stick because she really does not get a focus episode. She's the perky, happy-go-lucky Genki girl to Nagi's more dark and serious stoic type. Though the bonus episode they released after the show shows that it's a front and she's really kind of sad. And then Mitsuhiko... Again, it's another example of they were gonna have a full arc for this, but, didn't, so we had to kind of rush everything into one arc. And then Yu serves as sort of the backup, like, Bridge Bunny. I liked him. He was good. He was solid. I liked the mystery and how he kind of pushed to help said mystery be solved. Well, it was great. It was solid. I really did like him. So, moving on to, like, the actual Ultras, yeah, we're only 10 minutes in, and now I'm talking about the Ultras. I like Jun's shell-shocked veteran haunted by the past and by extension loss he made taking pictures for war. Or kind of like a proto-Eiji, though Eiji at least tried to be positive to hide it. Jun's just sad. He's willing to lose his life if it means protecting humanity. And having to put up with, like, the mistrusting nature of the Night Raiders. And, again, he acts as a mentor figure, like the sort of Ben Kenobi for Komon during his early days, to help him decide what he wants to be and to keep that person now the going forth, even in spite of that, to be a light in darkness. That being said, he very much doesn't go through much change as a character, because he's mostly accepted what he wants to do and focuses on fighting to protect the world until he just disappears because... so he disappears at the end of his tenure during the last fight against Shin. But then magically shows up at the next arc. Or, again, I feel like they were going to have him come back, but... reasons. Ren, on the other hand, who I learned recently would go on to play one of the characters from Kabuto. The second the B, and it's just like, they are such a dynamic of that character's not great, but this one's actually really good, I feel. I like, he's clearly meant to be the more traditional, standard, bright, optimistic ultra hero you see in these shows. Again, like the whole retooling, the initial, like theme song that's really dark and just like head-pounding more gets replaced with something with less dark imagery and or contemplating things for more of a, in the intro, he's doing a little shonen run, whenever there's filler and really don't have much to show, like, just do the little shonen run. I mean, it still has, Komon looking depressed and sad during, the small build-up, but, Ren's working at an amusement park. He's always kind around kids, and he always has this bright, happy smile. The show's going and is really going to go for that lighter and softer second half. Red probably has an even sadder and more depressing backstory than June ever had. He's a test tube baby who has very little time left to live without his miracle drug. Who proves himself to be here to protect everyone. Like, I really like that additional layer to him. I think it really works where even with everything going on in his life that makes it really suck and you feel bad, like, I gotta say this again, like, you had to think, like, when they were hearing, like, they had to do all those changes, they were just like, okay, well, make things slightly brighter, but there's gonna be that underneath layer. Like, it does really show a change in how the Night Raiders are taking Nexus comparatively to how they were treating June. Again, they choose to forego orders to help him escape and to fight on. And again, it really shows the development of Komon, who tries to sort of be a mentor to this new Nexus. It shows him develop. Okay, and yeah, again, when I talked about like how the serialized nature of this show, like one of the things was, you know, we get to see more of like the individual space beasts instead of them being like maybe a 1 or 2 parter or thing, and they actually feel really friendly, and we do get to see the Night Raiders thinking and even taking them out while Nexus deals with the Dark Ultras. It really helps to make this feel like a solid attack force instead of just the people waiting to be helped by Nexus, which sort of feel like I'm currently watching Ginga S right now, and it really just feels like they're just waiting. Like, they do some things to help Ginga in victory, but they really just feel like cheerleaders to a point. The designs are really solid. I feel they really eschew terror rather than like some goofier or dopey show designs. It looks really great. Right? They really don't have much in personalities. They just are mindless monsters wanting to feed. So we get their main like forces sending them around being these sort of dark ultras, which I think is actually one of the first times like this sort of nature of what a dark ultra looks like is used here. I could be wrong. I could entirely be wrong. So initially we have Dark Frost. It's mostly like the starter villain, and by extension got punched because it turns out to be Komon's girlfriend Riko, who, you know, when you see her, she's the nice, kind, caring girlfriend to him, even after everything he's go through. And if you know what show you're getting into, you know she's probably not going to last long, or something really bad is going to happen to her, because, look, in these dark, deconstructive shows, no one has a happy relationship. I'm sorry, that's just the sort of feel for it, which is a shame, because they do share some solid chemistry, I think, that works well. But the entire point of her is for that initial gut punch and then to lead into the more solid arc villain of Shin. Yeah, a easily hateable, power-hungry man who is so petty and wanting to drag the other heroes down to be as monstrous as him. And it makes for a good, solid counterpoint to June, whereas he takes the power in order to punish himself. Shinya wants to be all-powerful and menacing. I don't know how to feel about his redemption. Like, yeah, they don't act like what he did didn't happen, and he does end up dying. But it's just kind of, I don't remember what I did. Oh god, I can't believe I did all of this. And it kind of goes to the rest, like the villains are okay, but you really feel like the show was cut short, that really they just are kind of there. Like, the main one just shows up, little fanfare, is just kind of there. They're like this shadowy figure working behind the scene, and then it's just revealed, bam, he's Mitsuhiko. Iko, who takes out Shiori. Is she alive? I mean, the ending shows that she's alive, but I like the concept of a magnificent bastard who has played everyone for the sake of power. But it does feel a bit less like the series earned it, since it was clear they wanted to build the villain up to be the source of all the troubles and actually some terrifying acts to commit. But again, the show got cut. Now, which again is a shame because the season again looks so good. I like the sort of realistic and classic look Nexus has going. It tried to mix like classic Ultraman with the 2004 version of it, and there's some solid character growth and telling of which Dunamis is in the driving seat based on what color they take, and by extension the strength they. I also do like the Noah. And again, the Dark Ultras with the black and blood red as a secondary color really paints a good, solid counterpoint to the silver and more standard red of Ultra. The music really is great. I like basically almost every episode. Even the lighter shit, it's still very dark. I like almost everything this show has to offer. And it's such a shame that it didn't get to finish the way it wanted to. As it stands still, Nexus is still a great series if you feel kind of tired of, new generation, the stagnancy that you can might feel from that. That if you're looking for something more different from your standard Ultra fan, it's still worth a watch. Even if it doesn't finish the way it really wanted to, it is still a great deconstruction and by extension great drama for Ultra. And we'll stick for a second Ultraman for a little bit longer as we jump past Max to go for Mabius.